Hello, this is Coach Mike. We're going to go over our focus group list of potential trades for the upcoming week. That week's going to be starting January 5th, 2015, first full trading week of the new year. Anywho, I actually kind of messed up and didn't get Microsoft Office installed on my new computer, so you'll see I kind of sent the email in a different format, but it still serves pretty well overall to give people an idea. And if you're spending the time to watch this video, you'll understand things a little bit better as well. Anyway, I'm going to start out with the first trade that I have, and this is off the weekly chart. Now, I do know that we have a couple calls plays, and I'm also going to say that, these weekly swing points that have held and held, and, you know, we butted up against it last week, pulled back a little this week, but we haven't broke that 195.45. And if we were to break that for the weekly close, I feel pretty confident that we're going to get up there to 209.20. I don't know for sure, though, that I would actually take another trade on the February 205 calls, but it is an option we'd have to make that another position for that particular trade and a possible opportunity off of it. So it's a real simple thing. It's really got to do the weekly close above 195.45, but at the same time, if the markets start out pretty strong, the last couple weeks were lower volume weeks, and you can see the stock kind of hardly move. So if it were to break that point and look pretty strong, we might want to look at those as an opportunity up to this 209.20 target area. And this next one, I just want to say first, for some of the newer people, I don't want you to get confused that I said there could possibly be a calls trade on the weekly chart, and yet I'm going to talk about the possibility of a puts trade on the daily chart. Let's go with just the obvious facts. Let's look at the last high, that 198.06, and this current high that it looks to be pulling back from, which was 196.96. And obviously what we have here is a lower high. We also have a lower high that followed a lower low. If you look at this run up here, you had some consolidation with a dip. We made an up move, but on this low, we had a lower low than this low. So it is possible that a lower high could be expected. And if we start to make that pullback, I think, last week we had some puts expire on us, and, that kind of sucks, but that's how it goes sometimes. But I think we would just want to take a puts trade out for February, and it would probably end up being the February 20th $185 puts if we took it. And our target area for that would be this 181.30. If you use your Fibonacci extensions, you'll connect the high from December 8th, your low from December 16th, and your high from up here on December 29th to get that projection, and that would be that trade that we'd be looking at. The one that I'm really looking at possibility for is here on the 60-minute chart. As you'll see, I talked about the January 23rd. That's the week after the January 17th monthly. 187.50 or 190 puts. And what I'm talking about with that, if you look over here, this being the left shoulder, the head, and what we come up to is a right shoulder. And in the chat room on Friday, I actually said when it was falling, I said, my fear is that to hurt more of those puts plays, the 192.50s we had, watch it come up and make that right shoulder and kind of screw us instead of falling. But I want to tell you, listen, if it gaps down, and it's Saturday night, I can't see the futures right now to see how they're trading, but Monday morning, if we actually do gap down and it looks like, oh my gosh, the end is near, let's also look at not necessarily the fact that most times people would say, oh, you can't chase a gap, and look at the fact of where this neckline is. If we open below the neckline or break it at some time during that first 1 hour candle, we're going to want to take those January 23rd 187.50 or 190 puts. And, plain and simple with this trade, this would be the predecessor of getting those February 20th puts. But, the swing point lines that I have drawn on my 60-minute chart, these are pretty much the areas we would kind of target play in the shorter term trade. If it came down and bounced off this line and actually started going up, well, we might exit there, or over in here. But in reality, if you used your Fibonacci extensions, you'd actually get that same point, that 181.30 that you get on your daily chart, You can see it right here by connecting those same points. So because this would be more of a shorter term trade, we'd want to use those prior lows, because on a head and shoulders pattern, that's basically how you target. You know, if we drop that neckline, we'd expect that low just happened to have been a gap up, or the swing point, or the gap fill. And if we broke below that, we have another low close to contend with, and so on and so forth. But we would actually on this one play where the sell would be a bounce off of a target. So this is one I'm really going to be looking for early to see. You know, right now it's just a what if thing. It doesn't have to make a head and shoulders. It's just that if it did pull back from here, that's the pattern it would be making. In all reality, it could just keep going up and maybe make new highs. Who knows? But that's the type of pattern we want to look for, at least for this trade, and be aware of it, because if it breaks down below this neckline, that 192.78, we want to not only know what we're looking for, but be prepared for what we're going to do if it doesn't. And that's what we're going to do. Is we'll be looking at January 23rd, 187.50 or 190 puts. And it's really just going to come down to what the price is on them, and if we can get, you know, the 190s for below that $250 position size that I'm doing with my focus group account. And if not, I might entertain the 187.50s. The 190 puts would be the priority, the more preferred position for that. So kind of simple this week. 3 potential trades. They're not something that you just, oh, I'm going to blindly buy it when the market opens. Make sure you watch the video, maybe even take notes on my video to say what, or to write down what it is we're looking for. And really, this 60-minute chart, I think, is going to be the one that tips us off as to what exactly we get and what we'll do. If we get that head and shoulders at the 60-minute, obviously we'll also take a bearish approach, and more than likely look at grabbing those February 20th puts as well.